So apparently this video came out a whole month ago, but I thought it came out sooner because I literally just today, saw it on Twitter, saw a clip of this video on Twitter, and I thought, wow, holy fucking based. Wow, okay, yeah, awesome. Yeah, she's calling this shit out. This is great. And I really wanted to, watch it on stream and to talk about it because pretty much everything she said in the clip was so goddamn true. And I want to concur publicly because, and I'm going to be very honest here, the left is very, very rabid. The left online is very rabid. And when you speak out against a tendency or a toxic tendency of the left, those toxic people will come after you, and it can feel very shit not to have other people on the left come out and say, hey, I agree, and if you disagree and you're in my audience, you're pretty stupid. Just having another content creator in their audience come out and be like, yo, yeah, this is correct. I know this because during the pretty much every drama that I've had for like the last year, it feels like, I'd have some like deranged lefty come after me for some, made up bullshit. And I'd have quite a few creators come along to defend me. The DJ Mule thing was a big example, and it felt nice. It felt nice to have a bunch of creators coming along and actually like debunking the misinformation for me because I was going through a lot during that time and I just didn't have the energy to do it myself as quickly and in as much magnitude as it happened, right? It really, really did help. And in that case, oh, hello. We have a visitor. With that said, Keffals, large, huge content creator on the left nowadays. She is like the probably the largest trans streamer on Twitch, I would guess. I mean, I may be wrong, but I think she is, yeah. And she's very much become one of the many faces that represent the left as far as online figures go. And she is also, as I mentioned before, trans. Now, being trans on the internet can reliably yield one outcome every single time, that almost every space you enter will be hostile to you upon learning that you are trans. Which realistically means that if you're transgender on the internet, one of the few reliable spaces that you're going to find acceptance is going to be left-wing spaces. Which is why when the left decides for stupid reasons to try and ostracize a trans figure on the left, they may be trying to take away one of the few online communities that is accepting of their very identity. Which is something that's always really bothered me about the cancel culture stuff, especially towards like larger trans content creators. Doesn't it seem like there isn't allowed to be a successful, mentally happy, not constantly harassed and abused and put down trans content creator? ContraPoints was massively influential. She hasn't uploaded in like a year now. She was massively influential. A lot of the reason why her content and her reach has slowed down is because of the constant abuse hurled her way by people on the left, other trans people on the left, who decided they weren't happy with her supposedly representing them. Those same people who cannot bear somebody like that having any level of influence, regardless of how positive the outcome is, are the same people who now, in response to all the good Keffals has been doing for the left, have responded with, well, they want to completely destroy her reputation, claim she's racist, claim she's sexist, claim she's transphobic, homophobic, basically getting the me treatment, getting the Vosh treatment, getting the fucking Demon Mama treatment. She's gotten this shit too. The whole, like, if you are a popular lefty figure, you're going to have to endure an onslaught of nonstop false allegations meant to like make you look like one of the worst possible people in it. Yeah, the Doe treatment. One of the worst possible people in existence. From people on the left, not the right. From people on the left. They will try to destroy you because your success is counterintuitive to their wanting the left to be a tiny little social club. Now, for me, it's not a big deal at the end of the day. Because you know what happens if the online left doesn't like me? I'm a cis straight white guy. Do you think that, like, I'm gonna get singled out and targeted in other spaces online? No. I could care less about being accepted in lefty social spaces. The people who need lefty social spaces are people in marginalized groups. And the problem is when those people in marginalized groups reach a certain size of any prominence online, whether it be niche internet micro-celebrity or the level of magnitude of popularity that Keffals has reached, then you're going to face these hurdles worse than I would, certainly. Because these spaces are some of the only places you can feel safe online. And that's a scary thought, right? So, Keffals has, of course, been the recipient of a lot of this type of harassment, lies, and whatnot. I've seen posts with tens of thousands of likes just claiming she's a racist with no evidence. Like, man, you guys follow Keffals even though she's a racist? Shame on you. 10,000 likes. No images attached, no evidence, just... those people feel like that would be true because they don't like her, and so they hit the like button. Because, and you know what their response would be if you really nailed them down on that not being true? They'd say, sure, it's not true, but it says a lot about Keffals that it's so believable. That's what they'd say. You want to know why I know that's what they'd say? It's what they say about me in response to lies about me getting debunked. The response is, okay, maybe it was all lies, but it says a lot about Xanderhal that it was so easy to believe that. I've heard that about me before. I've heard people say that about lies debunked about Vosh. I've heard people say that about lies debunked about Demon Mama. Large lefty content creators always have to deal with the hurdle of the left itself trying to drag them down. It's very bizarre. A lot of the left just wants the community to be a tiny little community, not a successful political movement. And those that do seem to want it to be a successful political movement are completely disconnected from how to do it and just... it's bad. Trust me, it's bad. There's some really, really bad disconnect between normies and the left online and in real life. It's pretty bad. Anyway... enough speaking. Let us allow Keffals to take it away from here.
In the community that no one is willing to talk about because no one wants to endure the wrath of the community by talking about it, but I don't give a shit. I just don't care. Like, if I can withstand the entirety of the heat of kiwi farms, I can say that there are a lot of toxic people.
Remember back in 2019 when every left-wing YouTuber was like, I don't know about if we should be using the word woke scold. I don't know about that. I don't know about this. I don't know about that. And now 3 years later, we realize, oh, wait. Nah. Yeah, the left has a serious problem. Nobody gets mad about the use of the word woke scold anymore, except for woke scold video essayists and their fans. You don't get any, like, well-meaning people out there getting upset that you referred to some abusive piece of shit on Twitter who happens to have a trans flag in their bio, an abusive piece of shit, because they were being an abusive piece of shit, right? Like, nobody is going to get mad at you if you call them a woke scold anymore. At least nobody on, like, the more sensible side of the left. When back in, like, 2019, it felt like everybody was trying to make every last excuse for how, actually, no, these people aren't woke scolds. Come on, no, don't go so hard on them. Don't go so hard on them. It was so much pushback. I remember fighting through from my own community from 2019 to, like, the end of 2020 until it finally started to become broadly accepted that, like, okay, yeah, the woke scold thing's a pretty big issue on the left. Yeah. And at the time, like, you'd get called out for just speaking about it.
In the trans community who attack their own community more than they do anything that materially benefits their community. Some people have said to me that one of the issues that they don't like about me is that I won't rein my community in, and I won't. I don't think any of you did anything wrong. Like, honestly, I think more of the tender queers need pushback. I don't think that they should feel as comfortable as they do, lobbing accusations left and right in an effort to like slander people through oppression Olympics. If I do something fucked up, I'm willing to own up to it. I'm not above criticism. But a lot of the criticism isn't based on actual criticism. It's not based on anything except vibes.
All of that was true. Nothing more to add.
So there are a lot of definitions I see thrown around for what a genderqueer is. But the term, as I'm using it, means someone who is a member of the LGBT community who uses social justice issues as a way to manipulate and harass others.
So, I want to tell you guys a story about somebody I had a fairly drawn-out drama with back in the day. An example of a person exactly like this, okay? I debated somebody way back in the day named IzzyBear713 about whether or not I was a performative ally and a fake activist.
Well, hello everybody.
Let's oh yeah, the Surfs hosted this. Let's go ahead and just let's look at my old bad everything. I was bad at everything. Let's look at how bad it is in cringe. Hold on. Anybody in here who's actually in chat now? All these people gone. Oh, Beef Cat. I think Beef Cat still watches me too.
Base as like an attack against someone who's part of my like a marginalized group, right? I mean, not to my knowledge. I guess like some reactionary might say trans people are bad, and then a bunch of like reactionaries will be like based. But besides that, right? Like, I mean, it's not a slur or anything like that. However, I do want to point out that how this.
Boy, was I bad at speaking back then. You see, it takes practice, all right? Literally just time and practice get better at doing this shit. Anyway, as I was saying, I'll just summarize the debate and what happened. Basically, it got down to me saying that I think that she uses her identity, as well as her disability and whatnot, as a shield against criticism of her abusive behavior. And, you know, I got called a transphobe in response, and ableist and all that, right? Well, shortly after, and by shortly after, I mean like 6 months to a year later, I think, something came out. Their roommates all made a big, like, Twitlonger post to expose them as an abuser. Not only an abuser, but an ableist and even transphobic at times abuser, who would literally roll back and play victim anytime they were pushed against or, stood up to, and just absolutely made it impossible to live there. She would literally buy, she would take their money that was supposed to go to rent and, paying for, the utilities to stay on, and would spend it on cigarettes, hot wings, and ATVs. Yeah, it was just really, really bad. It was really, really bad. Anyway, that person was one of the, lead heads of the group that on Twitter that was, slandering me at the time. Now I'd say it's, DJ Mule and Thought Slime and Sophie from Mars that slander me nowadays. But, back then, it was Izzy Bear was definitely one of them. And, what can I say? Time proved me correct about exactly what people like this who go on the internet to attack others and put them down and roll up and play the victim when they're stood up to, what they're really like. Who would have thought? Time would vindicate me. And time will also vindicate Keffels.
They use the language of systemic critique as a way to get what they want by attacking other people. And this is an issue, you kind of see it a lot. You see it a lot in these spaces. This is a big issue in the LGBT community, especially in online spaces. And the thing that is particularly a problem is that people get into these fights that don't need to be happening. They try to take a systemic issue and then they label their opponents as being perpetrators of the systemic issue when it's really just that they personally do not like them and they want to smear them and attack them. And in real life, when this shit happens, people just roll their eyes because it doesn't fucking matter. But on the internet, outrage is key to generating engagement. And
yeah. So something that has to be realized is that people who are in these spaces on Twitter going out of their way to attack and demean content creators like Keffels, for example, these are people who have something to gain socially in their little club, both algorithmically and just on a general, like, you know, word of mouth level, by epically owning the large lefty content creator by proving they're more woke than the lefty content creator. And the desire for clout, attention, and dopamine points. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Hey. And dopamine points encourages that heavily. It's what these algorithms were made for.
And this is something that has particularly been a problem. So I would say that the Italian pride flag color thing is a very clear
So she was canceled and called homophobic or transphobic, pretty much just queerphobic generally, for photoshopping the Italian flag onto, as an addition to the giant, super diverse, everything pride flag, which is just about as harmful as a joke as, Irish question humor. You know, it's just dumb and harmless. But if you are if you have a giant stick up your ass and you feel like you need to feel morally superior to a large online lefty figure who is known for being woke and you want to outwoke them, well, then you're going to attack them. And if you get responded to, oh, but you're just a small little Twitter account with a few thousand followers, how could this massive mean YouTuber bully you by responding to the allegations you threw their way? This is harassment. Your fans replying saying this is wrong and linking evidence that disproves what you're claiming about me is harassment. Tell your fans to stop. It's the same shit every time.
Indicator of what I'm talking about with the genderqueer outrage. It's people who try to take little nitpicky shit and they are manipulative and try and turn it into a huge discourse. And a lot of the time they're doing it because they know they can generate engagement by doing it at the cost of having any sort of semblance of solidarity within the communities that they're a part of. It's basically a woke scold, except it's a woke scold specific to the LGBT community. When I did that one video, the Clowntown people, they were genderqueers. The video got labeled with them as liberals, but yeah, they're usually liberals. But a lot of them, despite being liberals, are leftists in their discourse. They know the leftist discourse, but they apply it in an incredibly liberal way. So the reason that
the Ed poll is the best example, without a doubt, the best example of the way they engage in more liberal-ish politics, despite understanding and generally, spouting leftist, not dog whistles, leftist keywords and catchphrases, is that they fall onto the liberal id poll nonstop. The id poll is literally where they prioritize everything. They'll literally say to a white leftist, they'd rather have Candace Owens speak to a massive audience on race issues than him because she's black. And the guy is white, even though he's a super progressive, that is the kind of thought process that these people will use.
That I wanted to address this in the first place was because our community is consistently under attack. We're on the precipice of going into a dark age for the LGBT community. Fascists are getting elected around the world. Our rights are systemically being taken away day by day, month by month. It's looking...
She's completely right. I think that 6 months ago, people that were saying that there was going to be that we're heading towards a trans genocide, I think that was a little bit, I thought at the time that was a little bit exaggerated. It was obvious that the Republicans were trying to do a trans genocide, but outside of certainly harmful, but outside of very, very small circumstances, probably not a huge problem legislation that was occasionally passed, and usually shot down, if I'm being honest. It didn't really seem like there was a future where massive, wide sweeping, really crack down on the ability for trans people just to exist bills were going to be getting passed, even in Republican states. That was something that I was like, I thought it was a worry of mine, but not exactly something I thought was likely. At this point, especially with the Florida thing I'm going to be covering a little later in the stream, I don't think it's over-exaggerating or fear-mongering to say we are heading towards a trans or LGBT genocide in America. At this point, the Republicans are doing everything they can to encourage violence towards the LGBT community. The groomer rhetoric in particular, I've already hammered on this many times in this stream, but what do you expect parents to do in response to massive TV man on the TV telling them that there are gay, trans, LGBT teachers grooming their kids? That there are pedophilic LGBT teachers grooming their kids at the schools? How do parents react to that kind of information? That a groomer wants to hurt their kids? Usually violently. The goal is violence. They are laying down justification. They are pre-justifying through propaganda future violence. Whether that or not that future violence is going to happen is not certain. But they are laying that groundwork harder than ever. And we are barreling towards it harder than ever.
Looking like even the Democrats might back out of supporting trans people because it's no longer a winning electoral strategy. So with genderqueers, which are basically woke scold liberals who are part of the LGBT community, they pose an actual threat to the community itself because they're not interested in solidarity. They're not interested in building bridges. They're not interested in organizing. What they're mostly interested in is purity testing. And the reason why you don't see a lot of them with larger platforms is because they're incredibly insular. They have echo chambers because they can't.
The ones that have larger platforms are the ones that are good at hiding it, you know? Like remember like Noah Samson? I still get hate comments from Noah Samson fans on my video about how Gamergate 2 or another anti-SJW wave is coming. I still get hate comments from people watching Noah Samson's like smear video on me, coming to hate comment on that video. He's still got that video up, by the way. Noah Samson does. People like him are pretty large on YouTube and online because they have the ability to change people's perception of them through very good editing and scripting. But when you see them talk in a one-on-one discussion, they fucking fold. When you see them tweet, they look like assholes. When they do a video on something that you actually know the facts about, they look like idiots and liars. A lot of it really is the woke scolds that are unable to hide how woke scoldy they are. They don't really grow much of an audience, as Keffels just said. But those that are able to do like the uwu soft boy presentation and kind of hide the dickishness at the core of it, they tend to do just fine. Like Thought Slime, Sophie from Mars, Noah Samson, they're doing fine.
Can't exist outside of those echo chambers. If they tried to exist within the larger community, they would continually get into fights with people who do not give a shit. I don't even know if it's purity testing as much as clout sharking. It's both at the same time. It's both clout sharking and purity testing. The purity test is to just give a lot of ways they can clout shark. Purity testing? Purity testing would be trying to hold people to a certain moral standard and excising them if they do not fit within the moral standard that you create. That's basically what purity testing is. You see it a lot in leftist spaces. People.
Yeah, I mean, like, this isn't... The right does this too, but it's more so done in irreverent jest, right? Like, who's more based, who's more red-pilled than who? You know, they'll talk about who's more red-pilled than who, and they'll like jab at each other. Like, yeah, he's cucked. He doesn't even believe the Jews control the world. He just believes that black people are inferior to white people. Get on our level, buddy. You know, like, they'll do that kind of stuff, but it's always with the overall desire to pull somebody who isn't as far right as them further to the right, down to their level, right? On the left, it feels like a magnet repelling the same side of another magnet. Like, the further left you go politically, the more it feels like people don't want you there. You ever felt that way? The more left you go politically, the more other people politically in that space don't want you there. They want to gatekeep you. They want to find reasons for why you are not able to claim you're as left as you claim to be. It's purity testing. It's gatekeeping.
People decide, unless you believe this and this and this and this and this and this, you're not actually a leftist and you shouldn't be in leftist spaces. Most of these people are also like 14. See,
I just realized me and Keffels have the same microphone, I think. It might be like one model off or something, but I'm pretty sure it's the Shure SMB7 whatever the fuck. I'm pretty sure we're using the same mic. Hers seems to have broken, or maybe it has like a little sound feature on there. It might be a modified version, but yeah, I think we're using similar mics. Almost the same mic.
I fucking wish most of these people were 14. But I've seen people like this in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s.
Can you guys, I want you guys to imagine, okay? Imagine you're 19-year-old me, all right? Having, like, how old is Thought Slime? Like 35 years old, 40 years old? Like, you got like 35-year-old Thought Slime claiming you have a sex cult. Like, bro, shouldn't you have like adult friends to talk to and hang out with? Why are you concerned with making lies up about me? I'm like, you're a grown ass man in your 30s or something. And I'm not saying like a 19-year-old is a child, but I feel like there's just a level of like weirdness to the concern that this 30-something-year-old has for like the sexual activity of a 19-year-old, enough so to make up lies about it, you know? It's really fucking weird. Yeah, a lot of these people are not just 14-year-olds who are misled on the internet and haven't really grown into their politics yet. A lot of them are, but a lot of them aren't. A lot of them are full fucking grown 30s, 40s, some of them even older. Those are the people that make me feel depressed when I see them spewing dumb shit on Twitter.
It's everywhere, and it's fucking endemic to the trans community. It's crazy. Like, okay, I'm blocked, but here's a good example of a tender queer. Like, this is old, but like, look at this, for instance. Keffels really is a case study in what happens when one of the most privileged folk in a marginalized community somehow becomes the de facto spokesperson for that community without having done any of the work to recognize their own privilege.
All right, I'm going to say it because Keffels isn't allowed to. A lot of trans people in the trans community, particularly trans women, hate Keffels because she's a gigapassoid. All right? I've studied with trans scholars who have taught me and, you know, have allowed me to unlock forbidden knowledge, and I have learned gigapassoid. All right? I'm partially joking, but at the same time, I have no doubt that there are people in the trans community online who feel perhaps a tad jealous about how successful Keffel's transition has been. Like, there's got to be some level of that playing a part, and she certainly could not say so. Holy shit, Uber Danger follows Keffels? What? Well, at least now I know he's not transphobic. I watch his videos, and there was like a few jokes that he made that literally only somebody who's either extremely pro-trans or extremely anti-trans could make. So I'm glad to know we landed on the good side of the 50-50. I'm glad to know we landed on the good side of the 50-50. I thought his friendship with Barney Beekeeper was a good sign. So that's nice. That's nice. Listen, I'm so woke that I actively scan the YouTubers I watch that don't even make political content for signs whether or not they might be chuds, okay? It literally never stops. The politics brain doesn't go away. It doesn't ever go away. Anyway, I do think that the jealousy is probably a small factor in some of the trans people online attacking Keffels. I think it might be.
This is sort of what I mean, right? It's holier than thou. It's purity testing. It's sowing division. It has nothing to do about bettering the community or building the community up. But instead, it's about perceived punching up in your own community. So it's like they're listing all of my privileges in this thread. I got to transition young, which is a...
Well, I mean, she goes on to read a thread in which they make the very same claim that Keffels is privileged because of her successful ass transition. Well, there you go. Guys, I need to tell you, all I've seen is like that or opening clip of this video. That opening clip of this video, this little bit right here, is the only clip I'd seen. I'd seen it on Twitter earlier. And I swear I did not pre-watch this. I'm very good at predicting how dumb people think. I can run an emulation of the average woke scold or conservatives' minds in my brain and like guess what they're going to say or do or how they're going to respond to something without even like raising my processor temperature past 80 degrees. You know?
Privilege. And my family supports me, which is a privilege. Apparently my family is rich, which is not true, but that was listed as a privilege. Like literally.
They'll make shit up. I had people claim that my family was rich because we had a house that took a decade to pay off that had a pool, and it was a 2-bedroom house or a 3-bedroom house, and they tried to claim it was a mansion. I mean, that house was doxxed, so if anybody wants to try to hunt that down, you can see it. But, like, anybody who sees those images on Twitter, on like, you can see it. It wasn't a mansion. Like, never in our family's life have we been rich, but they just decided to claim that was the case. They just decided to claim that was the case because it fit their narrative. Because it's easier to make left-wing people think somebody is bad if you convince them they came from a privileged upbringing. Listen, my upbringing was not as bad as it could have been, and I'd argue that in many ways it was privileged. But in many other ways, there's a lot of reasons why I'd like to move on and completely forget my childhood, pretty much. There's a lot of reasons, okay? So let's not assume that everybody is just privileged because it's convenient to assume so.
A thread on how privileged I am. She's skinny and conventionally pretty. Apparently that's a privilege. She's white. That's a privilege.
Can we rewind the tapes to when I said there's got to be some percentage of trans people out there that are just jealous that Keffels is a gigapassoid?
Once again, I started transition at a young age, so it's listed twice in the same privilege thread. I skipped a lot of bullshit a lot of older trans people dealt with. Privilege. If folks in that position can learn to listen when they get things wrong and boost other voices when they speak about issues they experience, that's great. I totally support folks. And it's basically just going on about how I don't listen, even though I absolutely do listen to people. It's just when they say that, they usually mean they want to manipulate you. They want to weaponize the privilege discourse in order to get something from you. And that, to me, that's the crux of what genderqueers are. It's the manipulation of social justice rhetoric in order to attack another person. And it happens so frequently. Like, even with my swatting attempt, I saw people like Twink Bride saying that they don't feel bad for me for it because I'm not black and it would have been worse if I was black, which is like...
As you can imagine, who were the people that made the most cruel, mean, defense-enabling or abuse-defending comments towards me during the whole Lonnie thing? Woke scolds on the left. People like DJ Mule. Conservatives were honestly like a fair amount of like centrists and conservatives were actually like, man, Zan went Giga Chad. by not like being a simp for his fucking girlfriend that was stealing from him, just dumping her his fucking Giga Chat. And it's like, okay, I guess I won't be opposed to that response. I'm fine with the right being, I guess happy with how I handled that. But it's bizarre to me that people on the left's response is to defend the shitty behavior I was subjected to, the thievery I was subjected to, the lies I was subjected to, the manipulation I was subjected to. It's weird that it was lefties who came out to say that was justified, that was good, to victim blame, and to say that, I could have had it worse. I had people, that was one of the go-tos after the Amaranth thing, DJ Mule's thing, and the thing that I kept on hearing on my Twitter timeline was, see, Xan could have had it worse. See, Xan could have had it worse. See, you think Xan's situation is that bad after what happened with Amaranth? That it's like, I haven't even compared my situation to what happened to Amaranth. What are you guys talking about?
I mean, I agree with the statement, but it's literally a sociopathic statement to say shit like that. Like, you're actually denying empathy for other people in your own community based on oppression Olympics. Yeah, this Twitter thread almost strikes me as bullying under the facade of moral superiority.
Someone in the chat said, Twitter woke scolds say Keffels is skinny, and Kiwi Farms says she's fat. I don't know who to believe at this point. Who would have thought that people who just hate somebody for absolutely no reason will decide to, find any descriptor for somebody, regardless of how true it is, in order to make them look bad, because they're deranged? Who could have predicted that there's not much difference between the deranged Nazis on Kiwi Farms and the deranged woke scolds on Twitter? Who could have predicted that there was a through line in the behavior of these two groups for the last 4 to 5 years? Who could have possibly called this out? Who? I honestly can't think of anybody, chat. Who could have done this?
Superiority. Oh yeah, no, that's what it is. Genderqueers are bullies. They bully people in their own community, and they manipulate social justice rhetoric that most people in the community know in order to achieve that end. So it's like, I'm constantly dealing, on one hand,
you know that your body is fucked when you do the Wiggler emote in real life and your neck cracks like someone playing each note of a xylophone. It's like each like vertebra cracks as you do the little wiggle motion.
With fucking actual fascists, fucking alt-right people, neo-Nazis, conservatives, literally every fucking person you could possibly think of that is incredibly anti-trans. And then on the other hand, I'm dealing with genderqueers who stalk my Twitter account, so they have every opportunity they can in order to attack me. Well, I'm dealing with being attacked by the actual enemies of our community. And this is what's so frustrating, is that there's no united front, because genderqueers attack their own community more than they attack the people who are actually a threat to our...
Wrong. There will be a united front, Keffels. There will be a united front. We can build it, all right? I feel like... So I talked about for a while, and I was correct, and I won't say I predicted it, I more so saw the writing on the wall that the next anti-SJW wave was coming. I think pretty much everybody agrees that I was right about that. Hypers, if you agree. I don't think there's much disagreement about that. I did a good job of calling that. Here's the thing. There is nothing to say that there can't be another wave of left-wing sentiment online. Now, while I think a lot of it is going to come from factors completely out of our control, I also believe, personally, that it is sort of on us to rein that in, you know? We are the large online content creators of the left these days. There are larger content creators than us, like Thought Slime, Sophie from Mars, and Noah Samson, etc. But those people fall into this group, and their lifespan on these platforms is limited because of that. Because, well, people just don't like assholes, and it just ends up coming out to bite you eventually, right? I think that building a sort of I don't want to LARP it up too much, but building like a certain level of like camaraderie between left-wing figures that maybe we don't all agree with each other, maybe we don't all necessarily like each other entirely, but we try to tolerate each other's presence coexisting on the platform because we can at least recognize, assuming that this is true, we recognize that we are both filling important niches and achieving different but important goals that are necessary to the building of an online cultural trend. And I think a lot of that responsibility falls on my shoulders, Keffels' shoulders, Vosh's shoulders, Shark's shoulders, Demon Mama's shoulders. I don't know if Doe makes content anymore on like Twitch and stuff. I think it might, but if it does, then Doe's shoulders as well. On like Ecofish and chat, on your shoulders as well, my friend. On a pillow, friend of the channel, on their shoulders as well. On Doe quit making Twitch content. That's sad. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know. I think it lies on the shoulders of content creators that have massive platforms to come together and do what I'm doing right now, right? I'm making a video in support of what Keffels is saying here because I want my audience to be like, oh shit, okay, Keffels and Xan and Vosh and Demon Mama and Shark all agree that this is a problem and this is an issue, and the left has a problem with this, and every content creator that tries to gain any level of success and influence for lefty cultural ideals online gets inundated with harassment from people on the left. Oh, okay, this is actually a real problem that needs to be like accounted for, at least, you know, known, right? At least have awareness raised about it. And that's what I'm doing now. And that's why I'm doing it.
Community. And the reason that I wanted to bring this up in the first place is because we need to recognize this behavior. We need to call this behavior out. We need people to understand this is not acceptable. This is a case of misplaced aggression. You're hurting your own community. You should stop. But unfortunately, in a lot of spaces, this is...
The problem is they don't care. They don't care. They don't care about hurting the community. They don't want a community so much as they want an insular hug box space, right? Like when I say they want a community, I mean they want like a small, morally pure, constantly getting cold like the Hunger Games type community, right? It is not a pleasant place to be, much like being on some Nazi 8chan 4chan forum or whatever, like Kiwi Farms is not a nice place to be. The users of these platforms and the people that partake in this behavior are miserable people. This is not behavior or spending your time in the way these people spend their time only results in a bad mental state. These people aren't happy. Nobody types out a mean comment online and feels happy afterwards. That comes from a place of actual anger, right? And they feel upset even after they click off of Twitter and they go do something else, right? It sticks with them for a bit. Yeah, it's like these are not happy people. These are not people that are enjoying what they're doing. It's much like the One Ring. They love and hate this cycle they've caught themselves in.
It's completely acceptable behavior. I have a question genuinely asking, because I saw a few people mentioning how you were blocking Black trans women for criticizing. Is that real? Is there a misunderstanding? No, basically, if there's a large tweet spreading misinformation about...
So that was a good comment because Keffels gets to respond to it now because that's probably something that's been going around. But that person probably means well, but that's an example of somebody who has been given misinformation and probably believed it. That Keffels was blocking Black trans women who disagreed with her and criticized her. They heard that and were like, oh, wow. And then it came up and they're like, Keffels, did you do that? And now she gets to respond to it. But up until this point, unless she's responded to it before, that is a lie that she is not going to be able to fully cull no matter what. The lie will spread fast. The lie will precede her reputation. Or her reputation will precede her at a certain point. That's happened to me at times, right? And thankfully, I've had at every point the ability to exonerate myself, I think, of most negative accusations thrown my way. But sometimes you just don't have the ability to do it. Sometimes you don't have that on your side.
About me, I run a chain block on it. So anyone who likes the tweet gets blocked. So when I'm dealing with
Based.
Kiwi Farms people and there's like a fucking, there's been like a,
I need to ask her how to do that. That would be handy as fuck for me. Oh my god, Twitter would be like a different platform if I could run a chain block on people who like tweets like lying about me. Oh my god.
10,000 like tweet accusing me of being a pedophile because of Kiwi Farm shit. Like, that's the kind of stuff I deal with. And the way that I try to keep the community safe and to reduce the amount of harassment that I receive on a daily basis is through chain blocks. And on the other hand,
this is completely good, by the way. This is the best way to respond to this. To every other, like, aspiring or current lefty content creator that sees this video and, like, it maybe connects with them in some way, the best way to respond to these people is to feature the craziest and most insane of them as examples of the group that is lying about you. Debunk the lies being spread about you as content. Do it rationally, calmly, and in a way that your audience will respond to. But don't be afraid to lay down the cold, hard truth. Like, don't sugarcoat the reality of it too much. Like, yeah, these people are abusers. These people are pieces of shit, and they get off on it. These ideas need to be expressed. However, for your own mental health, it is important that you do not let them hold you back. The biggest weapon these people have is the fact that you actually care about social justice and making the world a better place. And they are leveraging the fact that you care to emotionally manipulate you to make you change who you are, how you behave, and how you do your activism or your content. Do not let them. Block them and ignore them unless they are being so insane or egregious you can make content out of them. Make the content, monetize them like crazy, and move on to covering other content. That is the best way to handle it. And not only that, but call out examples and ideologies and stories and videos that harbor those communities. So a big problem that I imagine Keffels has had is that I imagine a lot of her community that she gained in her meteoric rise has rebelled from her. Because if I'm being honest, I don't think she's ever done, up until this point, any content that denounced this tendency among the left. And anytime a left-wing figure denounces this tendency among the left for the first time in a while, they get pushback and end up having to ban people from their chat. Because somebody loses their mind and starts screaming and hurling accusations of transphobia and ableism in the chat at the streamer if they try to talk about this. There's always one of them hanging around if they didn't know, right? So you kind of have to constantly keep an eye on the fact that these people will like fester in your community if you let them, and at the worst possible time turn on you. The worst possible thing, like the worst look for you when you're dealing with drama, is for your own community to look like it's turning against you. And that's what these people try to do. They come into your community, they act like they're a fan of yours, and then you express a take they disagree with, and they all lose their fucking mind. And they make it look like they make it look and feel like your community is turned against you. It looks like your community turns against you and disagrees with you from the outside. It makes it look like that from your perspective and from the inside. And it's because you can go a long time. Like if I go a long time just covering conservative content, just dunking on right-wingers, I might start to gain quite a few tankies in my audience who just assume I agree with them, right? And then I'll do a video calling out tankies, and now I've got a bunch of people who've been subbed to me for like 3 months mad at me for calling out tankies because they didn't know. You have to actually stay on top of that stuff because these toxic, tumorous aspects of the left will fester in your community. And it's fine for them to be there if they're actually being influenced and pulled over to your beliefs. But if they're just kind of there waiting to, scream at you and lose their mind and disagree with you whenever you, express an opinion even marginally opposing them, then you're going to have a bad time. You're going to have a really bad time, and you'll have to have a culling. And I've had to have many cullings in my community before.
And I have the issues with the tender queers, where they start this entire campaign where they do oppression Olympics against me to try and convince people that I should not have a platform, and they want to attack my reputation and my character. So when they make tweets calling me out about things like saying that I'm racist because I put an Italian flag on the progress flag, I run a chain block on it because I don't want to interact with any of the people there who like the tweet. Like, if you agree with that, I don't want to interact with you because you're a bully and you don't understand jokes. And I can sort of understand the criticism because people are saying you don't listen to criticism because you block people. And to that I say, at which point do you owe people access to your account? Like, why am I being told that I'm not allowed to control how I use the internet and who I interact with on the internet? Like, it's a right-wing argument. But the thing with tender queers,
that's why I don't think it's the best argument. I don't think that's the best argument to use. It's a valid one, but it's not the best one. I think the best argument is more of an offensive one than a defensive one. Why are they able to engage in the abusive behavior they engage in while behavior that is far less, problematic in any world is somehow something they feel justified in calling out? Flip the script on them. Call out their hypocrisy. That's what's been happening to DJ Mule, and it's been working wonders, and FD Signifier, pointing out their abuse apologists. It's working wonders.
And a lot of the stuff that they do is that they don't actually believe in much. They only care about social justice issues as much as they can weaponize them to hurt other people in their own community. So I've been seeing, for instance, people like Twink Bride. And she's been sharing around stuff taken directly from Kiwi Farms and sharing stuff directly from Kiwi Farms users in order to spread misinformation about me, which they...
Well, yeah, I mean, that's always been a huge thing, right? Like, most of the lies that the left spreads about the large content creators in their audience were made by Nazis. That one video that Nazis like to share around to try to claim that Vosh is a pedophile, that video, that clip show, was made by a neo-Nazi. Like a full-on neo-Nazi, from like the Jews control the world, to black people are inferior genetically, to the cringy white marble thinker profile picture. Nazis, I was going to type that. Zan, one step ahead. Yeah. Listen, I've been on this court for long enough to know these people's game now. I know what their game is. I know how these people play.
Then gets picked up by other tender queers and used to attack me further. Wait, are these people actually part of the queer community, or are they alt-right undercover? The thing is, you can never tell the difference.
You can never tell the difference. It's really hard. You really can't tell the difference, but if they're a larger figure, generally you can bank on them probably being somebody on actually just a real woke skull on the left. But yeah, it can oftentimes be hard to tell the difference from your perspective as the content creator between the Nazis claiming that you're this, and that, and the lefties claiming you're this, and that. It can be really fucking hard to tell who's who. They blend together. It's like a wheel going really fast. Just turns into a blur of one shape.
Because when you actually lay out everything that they do, it really does sound like that, doesn't it? But no, I don't think they're undercover. I think they don't really have a sense of solidarity. They don't understand how to build strong communities, and they don't understand how to work in groups, like big tent groups. They understand how to work in like smaller networks where they can excise anyone who doesn't meet their rigorous standards for moral purity. But besides that, There's a reason that you don't see them in big tent organizations. Selfish behavior, they're likely suffering from something and have decided anyone else getting attention or positivity is harming them somehow, and those people must be taken down. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I want to have a community on the internet that is both queer and recognizes this behavior for what it is and says it's not acceptable.
The problem is, and I hate to... I think this is where I'll wrap up the reacting to Keffel's part of this video, because I don't want to watch the whole thing and just yoink her content. In fact, I'll go ahead and drop the original video in the chat. You guys should all go watch it, go like it, go subscribe, go comment, go ring the bell icon, and all those good things. All those good things. Okay, so here's the thing. I believe that it is important for us as left-wing content creators to recognize that the people in these woke scoldy communities do not have our or the best interest of the left at heart. These are very selfish, self-centered people who are doing what they are doing solely out of the goal of increasing their own moral status in the communities they've built their names in. Right? You can't moralize these people. Much like you can't moralize a Nazi or a reactionary. Like, you're an asshole, you're a bad person, you're a piece of shit, isn't a good argument towards a Nazi or towards a reactionary or a chud, because they don't care about that. They know they're bad people, or they're so deluded they believe that you're so bad that nothing you can say can change their mind. And at that point, what's the difference, right? They do not care. You can't moralize them. These woke scolds are the same, but because they are not in this for political gain, but for personal gain, for attention, for clout, for monetary gain in some cases. Here, did anybody link the screenshot to DJ Mule's Patreon post where he talked about how it was his goal to make money off of the video about me, and it failed? Anybody have a link to it? That was really funny. It was literally him pouting in a private Patreon post about how his video on me was a failed attempt to make money. Let's feature it. Let's see the motivations behind why these people act the way they do. Oh yeah, that's not even getting... Dude, I feel like Lindsay Ellis getting harassed by woke scolds to the point of physical health complications and quitting YouTube. Like, Lindsay Ellis is gone. We lost Lindsay Ellis, one of the largest left-wing figures out there. She's gone. The woke scolds ran her off the internet. ContraPoints pretty much ran off the internet. I haven't seen her upload in a while. She tweets, but and I think she streams, but I haven't seen any new videos from her in a long time. Like, these people are successful at cracking through the mental of those that are not supported, that don't have a strong support structure. Not to say, I don't know if like ContraPoints or like Lindsay Ellis had a strong support structure, but you know what they didn't have? They didn't have every other YouTuber that makes content like them on the left come out and say, hey, these crazy pieces of shit are trying to cancel ContraPoints, trying to cancel Lindsay Ellis. This is ridiculous. Go send some love. Go send some support. Go, like, yeah, like that's the kind of thing that happened to me from the other streamers whenever DJ Mule made his hit piece on me. That did not happen as much for Contra. I did videos on Contra. Vosh did videos defending Contra. I think like a lot of us did do videos defending Contra, but like you didn't really see it from any of the larger figures in her space. And it feels as though like of all things you would expect public support, like vicious public support in favor of these figures in a case like this, but no, there is no support structure. And what ends up happening makes it, obvious how bad it is for these figures that are being bullied and harassed. Your sub count doesn't make you fucking immune to emotional damage. Emotional damage! It doesn't make you fucking immune, all right? It doesn't make you immune, all right? You can still be hurt no matter how many views you get, how much money you make. Yeah, here's the post by DJ Mule on his Patreon. Well, here I am 20 odd days later, and the plan get more patrons and Twitch support to afford to live from my latest video has failed spectacularly. It's locked, so we can't see more, but... look at that. Look at that. So that was DJ Mule's reasoning for making his hit piece on me. In case you didn't know. Yeah, these people are pieces of shit, alright? And you shouldn't be apologetic when you say it. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, whether you're watching live, after the fact, or when this goes up as a video. It really does help me a lot, and the channel, and just, you know, the left online, you know, but pushing more lefty content creators out there. You can also subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube tells you when I go live or upload a new video. And of course, if you want to see more from me online, you can follow my social medias, which are all linked down below in the description. And finally, if you want to support me financially and you've got the money for it and you don't need it for anything else, you can do so quite easily simply by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhal.com/live. Or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or even through Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and have a good one.